Hey everybody, so let's take all these pictures, file, open in Camera Raw. Okay, this one is good how it is, so I'm going to make it green. This is good. This is good. We'll change the sizing later. We'll make sure that the right size is later. So I'm just going to take you through this and you can watch how I do, but I'm just going to plow. These are like the same exposure, so see how it's a little bit hazy up here? The sun shining in, it looked like it was coming in through this lens and just making a little bit of like a glare. Let's see if this dehaze will work on that a little bit, and it will. Just a little bit. Okay. I'm going to take down yellow a little bit. And then let's go to the luminance noise reduction. So this one, this third one in, is where I can take down noise. See how this one has a little bit of noise in here that I can see? I'm going to just pull this up a little bit here, and it will smooth it a little bit. Okay, I'm going to make the pink a little bit pinker in the flowers. Reds up a little bit. Okay, I think I would stop right there. Take down the whites a little to even out that sun in the back. Okay. Let's see how this did on our other picture. It looked really good from this one too. I just did all those adjustments to both of them by highlighting them both. I'm going to make this one a little bit brighter. Then I'm going to fix the crop on this a little bit. Just because I feel like this is okay, done. So I'm going to make these green because if I am done with them, I will turn them green on the side. I press Command 8 to make them green. That's how I keep track of things. Okay, these have very similar exposure as well. So I'm going to select both of them. And then first thing I do is pick up exposure. But we don't want to, if we did it too much, it would be crazy blown out here in the back. So let's just bring up our shadows. Take down yellow a little. Not too much though, because okay, let's see here. I'm just doing my thing so I can go quickly. I just want to just straighten it out, but I'm going to leave it to be more of that square crop. But I just want to straighten out so that this vase is not tilted looking. This one. That's our main focal point. Okay, so this is a really good one actually. I like this one maybe the best because of maybe the lighting being so even. Blacks down. I'm recording. When you do the blacks down here, that looks really pretty. I'm going to do my anti-vignetting a little bit more. Okay, shadows are already up. Okay, I think I like that. This one I'm not liking how the light is looking that much. You know, I just feel that this angle with this even lighting, it looks beautiful and you can still see it. This one I'm struggling to make it look really good because this is in the shadow and this is in the light. And yeah, I don't know. I think that that's like the best that I would do with this one. Okay, let's move on. This is really pretty. I'm picking up these shadows so I can get all this texture. I'm going to bring down the highlight a little bit. I'm going to do my vignetting, my anti-vignetting. Let's straighten this a little bit, but it doesn't have to be too much because it was taken at an angle, which is okay. One way that you can, we'll just play with this for a second. I'm in this lens corrections thing. See how this was kind of shot down this table and it looks like it's getting smaller to this side because of the camera angle? So what I can actually do is change my perspective a little bit. Did you see what happened? So this was 0 and this was 5. And it just makes it a little straighter for us. You can do the same with the vertical perspective, that way or that way. But I think it was the same, or fine how it was. And then see what it did when it distorted it for us. It corrected that distortion a little bit. Let's do it a little bit more. We're going to have to crop it a little bit, and that's okay. To me, this is a little bit better for my eye. I kind of like that a little bit better. I'm going to flag this yellow by pressing Command 7, and that will tell me if I really want to work on something afterwards in Photoshop. If it's green, I say green means go, but if I want to pull anything else into Photoshop, I will make it yellow so that at the very end, I am left with my yellow labeled, and I only pull those into Photoshop for further perfecting, if that makes any sense. It's just how I choose to label. You could come up with your own system, but for me, that is what I do. This is absolutely gorgeous. I can tell you that right now this is going to be a yellow label. I want to pull this into Photoshop because I want to get rid of this little person in here. But I'm going to start here. This is so close to just being perfect. I just think we're going to pick up the shadows a little bit. Down with the highlights a little bit. Blacks. That looks so cool. Maybe exposure a little bit. I don't know though, I mean it was really pretty good. Vignetting. I'm going to leave that how it was. To me that's good. Maybe let's bring out a little bit of the pinks in the flowers. So I'm going to take red and go this way. Increase saturation of red a little bit, and the magenta. But I love this picture. So I'm going to fix this flare a little bit. I'm going to lighten some of these things. I'm going to take out this person afterwards in Photoshop. So, but for my regular raw adjustments, this is really good. Okay, we already did this one before. But the way that you correct for this black is you shoot it differently, but I'll show you. Just pick up shadow and then you'll find the detail in the black. But I remember we already did one before, and I did the noise reduction in the flower. So we're just going to leave that blank. I'm going to make this green because that's go. This one I think we should eliminate because there are just better choices for you. Do I have all of them labeled? Yes, green, 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 yellows. Okay, let's do this one. So first I'm going to change the perspective a little bit because I see how it was kind of shot at a skew. So let's just do this a little bit. Okay, now to me that's straight. Okay, then I'm going to crop it and straighten it even more. Do this. I'm going to do a different crop ratio. These are more square files that came from the computer or from the camera. All right, so go like this a little bit to straighten. Okay, so that to me looks good. I'm going to pull in shadows a little bit for the flowers here. Okay, so I see that this is noisy. Okay, but let's denoise it a little bit and then we'll do the rest in Photoshop. But there's only so much you can do if something was shot a little bit underexposed, you know, and also with a camera that doesn't handle noise well. But this will probably be fine once we bring it into Photoshop and blur that noise a little bit. Okay, I am going to do this, black's down. I'm going to take out the yellow. Make it just crisp white, not too much or it looks like, look at fake, but just a little bit. I'm going to go down with blacks a little bit more because we want a little bit of drama in this, not too much. Okay. All right, yellow, because we're going to make that a little better in Photoshop. Okay, here is this. This is our main, it's a little bit too blingy in here. So this is very easy fix. Let's go here and just take down yellows a little bit. That's all I would do, really. Just a little bit, okay? I feel like that's it. I feel like that was all that it needed, was just a little bit. If you think it's too blingy, still, I'm going to pull this into Photoshop. We can do a second file just in case, but I like this. Okay, let's look at this guy. This is a little bit too yellow, so let's change it up a little bit. Exposure, I'm going to go as high as I can without blowing it out. Temperature control is my first thing. I want to get this as close to neutral as possible. I know that it's still yellow in the back here, but what I'm looking at are the whites. So when I'm trying to get this with a good starting point, I'm trying to make this as neutral as possible without going too cold. See, that's maybe too cold. So somewhere like right in here, okay, there I would say that that's nice and white and pretty neutral. Okay. So now let's go in here and do yellows, yellows, yellows. Take down those yellows a little bit. I'm going to punch in those reds so that we can see the flowers a little bit more. We want to see the pretty flowers. Now to me this looks good. I'm going to make this perfect in Photoshop by taking out this line. And maybe we can also crop this a little bit. There's also something we can do here with this to make it a little less crazy skewed. I actually kind of like this better. See how we just fix that perspective a little bit? Okay, so let's go to a normal crop. Now we can crop this to the edges of where it lets us. Make sure it's even on both sides. Okay. Alright, to me that looks better. I'm going to take this lens vignetting and brighten up the edges here. That's going to open this up and make it look a little bit more illuminated. And what I did with this, it started out as this midpoint being here, but I want to brighten all this section. So when I take this midpoint and I drag it down, that fills in a greater area. Okay. To me, this looks pretty good. So let's leave this how it is. I'm going to flag it for myself to bring into Photoshop afterwards because of some of these things, like this little line is bothering me in the dance floor. Alright, and then do one more, and then I can shut off this video and we can pause. So this one I'm looking at right now. Let's have exposure up a little bit, but not too much. We don't want to blow out these flowers yet. We'll be able to see what we're doing a little bit better when we change our white balance right away. And I'm going to look to see when I can get it the most neutral. So that's my first step, really, most neutral. This is too blue, unless you want it to look blue later, but I don't think that you want it to look blue. Let's go to the most neutral, and I think that's as good as we're going to get. I'm looking at this, I'm looking at like the whites. So I know there's still a lot of yellow in this picture, but we need to make the whites neutral first before we correct anything else. Otherwise, everything's going to be crazy. So now I go into my saturation adjustments, and I can pull down yellows from here on out, or oranges, pull them down. Okay. Let's stop. Do the things that we know we want to do, like these lens vignetting corrections, and pull up our shadows. Sometimes it's better to like work in steps to see what else we need to do. So bring in the shadows. Let's bring down the highlights because look at how we can see the details in the flowers come back a little bit when we go to those highlights. Right now, I kind of like how this looks, but I know that it might be a little too warm or orange. Let's just play with it and see what else we can get. Now, we're getting there a little bit. If I pull this down, I'm just experimenting for a second. This looks gray, but then I take in the reds. See, no, I think that that might be the best that we can do is something like this. If the tones of the room are all the same, then when we pull down our oranges, we pull it down from everywhere. So every room is different. And so we have to treat it a little differently. Let's see here. Yeah, this is... Okay. I think we're going to stop there. It's hard because I wasn't here, and so I don't know the tones of these flowers very much, or what the desired look is. And we can always adjust this afterwards. But to me, that's an improvement. Okay, I'm going to flag this green, knowing full well that Flavia might later on have something else to change about it. And that's okay. You might not get it right for the first time, and that's okay. So let's, I'll do one more. I lied here. Change the temperature to get it as neutral as possible. To me, this is neutral at -8 up here. If I go a little bit more, to me that looks cool. Now it depends on your monitor that you're working on, and you should get a calibrated monitor. So you should calibrate it if it's not already calibrated. And I have a calibrator if you need it. My normal adjustments. I'm going to crop this a little bit. I'm going to make the flowers stand out a little bit more by pulling in the reds and the magentas and pulling down the oranges so that we can get rid of some of that from the surrounding area. I'm going to fix the perspective a little bit. I want it to be a little more like it was tilted towards me. A little bit more. Just composition-wise, to me, that looks a little bit better. Let's fix this side. Now that it did that warping, we have to make sure that we have the whole image in. Okay, and I'm going to call that done. Alright, so let's pause this. This has already been a super long video, but we're getting there. Okay,